The world you live in is an intelligent system in which every moving part is coordinated by every other moving part. There's a universal life force that supports and orchestrates everything. It all works together in perfect harmony. You are one of those moving parts. You showed up here in this body that you inhabit, precisely on time. Your body will leave here with the same precision. You're an essential piece of this complex system. Here you are in this intelligent system that has no beginnings and no ends, in which all of the galaxies move in harmony with each other. You must have shown up here for a reason. Khalil Gibran said, "When you are born, your work is placed in your heart." Take a moment right now and point to yourself. Your finger is very likely pointing right at your heart, not at your brain, but at your heart. This is who you are. The constant beating of your heart in and out and in, is a symbol of your infinite connection to the always present heartbeat of God, or the universal intelligence. Your left brain calculates, figures things out, analyzes, and comes up with the most logical choices for you. It thinks. Your right brain represents your intuitive side. This is the part of you that goes beyond reason and analysis. It's the part of you that feels things, that's sensitive to love, that's emotional about what's important to you. Your right brain allows you to tear up as you hold your babies or bask in the beauty of a glorious day. Your left brain can analyze it, while your right brain lets you feel it. Pick a situation and ask yourself if what you know or what you feel is most important to you. Generally, what you'll take care of first depends on the situation and circumstances you're in. Your intellect can be figuring out exactly how you're supposed to act in a relationship when things are collapsing or when they're rapturous. And then there are times when what you feel will supersede what you know. If you are feeling fearful, scared, lonely, or on the other hand thrilled, loving, and ecstatic, these will be the dominant forces you'll act upon. These are the times when your right brain is right. Your right brain will always lead you passionately to your purpose. Listening to your right brain. There's an intuitive, invisible presence that's always with you. I picture this presence as a nagging little creature who sits on your right shoulder and reminds you when you've lost your sense of purpose. Listen to your invisible companion. Express the music that you hear and ignore what everyone else around you thinks you should be doing. As Thoreau put it, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music he hears, however measured or far away. Be willing to accept that others may even see you as having betrayed them, but you haven't betrayed your music, your purpose. Listen to your music, and do what you know you have to do to feel whole, to feel complete, and to feel as if you're fulfilling your destiny. You'll never be at peace if you don't get that music out and let it play. Let the world know why you're here, and do it with passion. Being passionate means taking risks. You may indeed find yourself living a comfortable life when you don't follow your instincts. You're aware of that nagging companion saying to you, "This may look right, but does it feel right? Are you doing what you came here to do?" For many people, the answer is, "How do I know what my heroic mission is?" You'll find your passion in what inspires you the most. And what does the word inspire mean? It derives from the words in spirit. When you're inspired, you never have to ask about your purpose. You're living it. For one of my children, it's about riding horses and being at the stables. She's in heaven when on horseback, or even cleaning out a stall filled with horse manure. Another daughter is only inspired when she's singing, writing music, or performing. She's felt that way since she was 2. For another, it's her artwork and design that makes her feel purposeful. For yet another, it's designing websites and creating computer programs for others. For me, it's writing and speaking and creating products to help people become self-reliant. This has always been my passion, even as a young boy. When I go before an audience and I sit down to meditate, I repeat the mantra, "How may I serve? How may I serve? How may I serve?" How can I get my ego out of this presentation, out of this program, out of what it is that I am doing, and my needs to have rewards and to have applause and to have people tell me how wonderful I am? How can I get all of that out? If you're a dentist, you can give a flower to every patient. You can call them in the evening and ask how they're doing, as my dentist always does. You can make your waiting room a place where people look forward to coming by putting in programs like this for people to listen to while they're being drilled on.
It doesn't make any difference. If you're a cab driver, you can make your cab a place of service. You can do a little bit extra. And the irony is when you turn your life over to being a statesman and ultimately to being a spiritual being, this attitude allows this free-flowing, unconditional, loving energy that is the divine universe, that is God, to enter into your life. And it just keeps going. You're just keeping the channels open, folks. That's all you're doing. You're just keeping it open. And you're aware of every little cue that comes along that blocks that channel. The minute that it's there, it's an angry thought, it's a judgmental thought, it's a stressful thought. The minute that it shows up, you replace it with an attitude of service, gratitude, generosity, and it leaves. The part of you that knows, the part of you that is infinite, as the poet suggests, the part of you that is every place, is also in all that you would like to see show up in your life. And if you keep a generous, grateful, serving attitude, you'll never block it. Thank you. Thank you. You are not the events that have unfolded in your past. You are not the bruises left behind by someone else's misunderstanding of love. You are not the echoes of pain, nor the lingering fear dressed up as memory. The pain happened, yes, but the suffering, that's a choice your soul no longer needs to make. Pain is a signal. Suffering is a story. And you, my friend, are the author of that story. You can put down the pen. You can stop circling the same sentence. You can choose to no longer reread the pages that made you weep. Because while pain is part of the human journey, suffering is a loop created by the ego, fed by identification with what was, instead of presence in what is. We live in a world where hurt seems inevitable, but that is only because we confuse what happened to the body, to the circumstances, to the mind, with who we are. But the soul does not bleed. The soul does not break. The soul does not suffer unless you tell it to. There is a space inside you, wide as the sky, still as the ocean before the wind, that has never been harmed. And the moment you return to that place, the moment you remember that your essence is untouched by all that has occurred, the chains of suffering begin to loosen. You see, the ego thrives on attachment. It builds monuments out of wounds. It decorates its walls with the past, then sits you down in the middle and calls it truth. But truth is not found in the stories you replay. Truth is found in the awareness that watches them silently, without judgment, without pain. Pain knocks at the door, but suffering is when you let it move in. You feed it. You dress it up. You give it your name. And suddenly the experience becomes an identity. But you were never meant to be the experience. You were meant to witness it, rise from it, grow through it, and let it go. The flower does not mourn the storm. It simply drinks the rain and blooms again. You too are designed to bloom after the breaking. You too are wired for healing, for rising, for returning to the light. But first, you must release the grip. You must stop clutching the pain as if it defines you. Because the longer you hold it, the heavier it becomes, and the more you forget how light your soul truly is. There is no shame in being hurt. There is no weakness in having been wounded. But there is great power, holy, radiant power, in saying, this happened, and I choose to stop carrying it. This broke me open, and I choose not to suffer anymore. Not because the pain didn't matter, but because I matter more. We live in the echo chamber of our own minds, repeating thoughts as if they are commandments, when they are only invitations. You are invited every day to pick up thoughts of peace instead of pain. You are invited to say no thank you to the voice that insists you must suffer because you once hurt. You are invited to stop sitting in the courtroom of your past and start walking in the garden of your present. Do you remember what freedom feels like? It is not the absence of pain. It is the absence of identification with it. It is the knowing that though your hands may tremble and your voice may crack, your spirit is unshaken. That though your eyes have wept rivers, your soul is still the sun rising over them. Let me tell you something your heart already knows. You have everything you need to be free right now. The gate is open. The key was never lost. You only needed to remember that the pain is not your home. Pain is an event. Suffering is a dwelling. And you have lived in that dwelling far too long. Move out, find the stillness, sit in silence, and listen not to the noise of old narratives, but to the soft whisper of truth. You are not broken. You are becoming. The human experience is filled with contrast, joy, and sorrow, light and shadow, comfort and discomfort. But none of these are permanent. They pass through you like the seasons. And suffering is what happens when you try to stop the season from changing. When you say, no, let winter stay forever, even when spring is knocking, you don't need to fight what happened. You only need to stop resisting what is. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the first step to reclaiming your power. Because the moment you say, yes, this happened, but it does not define me, you reclaim the throne of your being. You stop serving the past. You start serving peace. And peace, my dear, is always available. It's not earned through punishment. It's not achieved through reliving your wounds. It's not won by proving your suffering was real. Peace comes when you say, I have suffered long enough. I have paid the price in tears, in tension, in the years I could not feel the sun. And now I choose light. You can drop the weight. You can drop the narrative. You can choose to carry only the lesson, not the scar. Forgiveness is not just for others. It is a balm for your own heart. It is saying to yourself, I love you enough to let you breathe again. I love you enough to stop punishing you for something you couldn't control. I love you enough to allow you joy. And that is the beginning of true healing. Not fixing the past, but releasing it. Not changing the memory, but changing your relationship to it. Not waiting for an apology, but giving yourself permission to rise. You are not your pain. You are not your grief. You are not your story. You are the still awareness behind it all. The ocean that holds the wave. The sky that holds the storm. When you remember this, when you embody this, the suffering begins to dissolve. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop adding weight to what is already heavy. You stop dragging the chain and start walking free. Even now, as these words meet your ears, something inside you remembers. A softness, a silence, a space untouched by trauma. This is your true nature. This is your home. Return to it. There comes a moment in your inner evolution where you look in the mirror not to see your face, but to meet your awareness. To recognize that the reflection staring back is not the entirety of who you are. Beneath the surface of the physical, beyond the drama of the emotional, deeper than the noise of your thoughts, lives the still and spacious presence of your soul, and it has never been hurt. The body remembers, the mind repeats, but the soul observes in silence, untouched by all of it. You are not the memory, you are the one remembering. You are not the pain, you are the witness of the pain. And in that sacred awareness, all suffering begins to soften. Suffering only survives in resistance. It needs your agreement, it needs your participation, it needs your attention to grow, but once you stop watering it, it withers. Once you say, I no longer need this story to feel real, you begin to exit the prison of identification and step into the open air of presence. Do you realize how many years of joy we delay, hoping for a better yesterday? How many mornings we waste because we're still reliving an old night? And yet, The present moment, this very breath, has never left us. It sits patiently, offering peace in exchange for surrender. Not surrender to the pain, but surrender of the need to make it personal. When we suffer, it's not the pain itself that crushes us, it's the meaning we assign. It's the belief that it was unfair, that it shouldn't have happened, that it took something from us that we can never get back. And yes, it's true, things happen that pierce the soul, that bring us to our knees, that change the shape of our lives. But it is also true that no event, no matter how deep the wound, can alter your divine identity. You are not here to carry burdens forever. You are not here to relive every wrong. You are not here to be the keeper of anguish. You are here to awaken. You are here to remember. You are here to be free. And freedom does not come when everything is resolved. Freedom comes when you stop needing everything to be resolved. The great paradox of healing is that it does not require forgetting what happened. It only requires releasing your grip on it. Holding on is not proof of strength. It's a misunderstanding of where your power comes from. Your power was never in remembering how you were hurt. It's in remembering that the hurt cannot touch your essence. A storm can bend the branches, but it cannot uproot the sky. And you, dear soul, are more sky than tree. You are the spaciousness in which the pain passed through, not the pain itself. And here is the most freeing realization of all. It was never your job to suffer. It was never your duty to carry the weight of other people's actions. It was never your purpose to punish yourself for being human, for having feelings, for needing love, for not knowing then what you know now. Let go of the should-haves. Let go of the why me. Let go of the questions that circle but never land. The universe does not demand explanations. It only invites evolution. You did not fail because you were hurt. You are not broken because you still feel. You are simply unfolding, growing, cracking open into something wiser, something kinder, something lighter. And lightness does not mean forgetting. It means remembering who you are beyond what happened. It means finally telling yourself, I've heard enough. It's time to live again. There is a sacred space within you that has not aged, not changed, not been stained by anything you've endured. This space is your truth. It is always calm, always open, always whole. And every time you choose not to suffer, even in the smallest of ways, you come closer to that space. Every time you breathe instead of judge, release instead of relive, observe instead of attach, you come home. Do you see now? The pain already happened. There is no undoing it. But there is something greater. There is outgrowing it. There is rising from it. There is transmuting it into something that no longer poisons your heart. Yes, the memories are still there, but so is the witness. And the witness, the real, you knows that peace is not something you earn by punishing yourself. Peace is what you receive when you choose to stop fighting what already ended. Stop defending your suffering. Stop building shrines to your scars. Stop believing that your pain is the most interesting thing about you. There is a vastness in you waiting to be known. There is joy in you waiting to be reclaimed. There is purpose in you that has nothing to do with what broke you. This moment, this very breath is asking, will you let go? Will you let the past walk away without chasing it? Will you set down the heavy armor you no longer need? You may not know what comes next. You may not have all the answers, but you can choose peace anyway. Peace is not a product of understanding. Peace is a product of acceptance. And acceptance does not mean approval. It does not mean saying what happened was right. It means saying, I will not allow it to shape my life one moment longer. That is not weakness. That is awakening. Let yourself weep, yes. Let yourself feel what was never felt. Let the grief rise, not so you can suffer, but so it can finally move through. The body holds pain until we're ready to release it. Let the tears fall, but then let the tears dry and walk forward. Not away from what happened, but toward who you truly are. Forgiveness does not mean the past is erased. It means you are no longer willing to suffer in its shadow. It means you have chosen your soul's freedom over your mind's righteousness. It means you no longer need to prove you were wronged in order to prove that you are worthy of healing. And you are worthy, not because of what you've endured, but because of who you've always been beneath it all. Right now, in this very instant, you are being called into remembrance, not of your wounds, but of your wholeness, not of your failures, but of your eternal nature, not of your identity as the victim, but as the conscious presence who cannot be victimized. The ego will scream. It will beg you to hold on, to stay loyal to the pain, to keep circling the same story. But you are not the ego. You are the awareness that watches it spin. And in that awareness, there is the power to choose again. There is a kind of liberation that doesn't come with fanfare. It doesn't announce itself with thunder or fireworks. It arrives in the quiet moments when you finally stop asking why and start whispering thank you. Not because the pain was good, but because it awakened something inside you that was asleep. Because it brought you to the edge where you could no longer pretend, and in that still place, you finally remembered the truth. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become now. The suffering ends when the identification ends, and identification is nothing more than a habit of attaching to thoughts that don't serve you, a habit of believing the emotions without questioning their source, a habit of clinging to a version of yourself that no longer exists. But habits are not who you are. They are just choices repeated. They are just grooves in the mind, and grooves can be smoothed. Patterns can be undone. The brain rewires, the nervous system relaxes, the identity untangles the moment you say, this does not belong to me anymore. You may feel afraid to let go. There is strange safety in suffering, a false sense of control, a familiarity in pain. But healing asks you to step into the unknown, to loosen your grip on the drama that defined you, to say goodbye to the identity built from wounds, and walk into the light of who you've always been before the story, beyond the scars. Can you feel it? That quiet voice rising inside saying, there's more to you than this. That voice is real. It is sacred. It is the soul reminding you of your vastness, your strength, your divinity, and it will wait as long as you need, but it will never stop calling. You do not need to be fixed. You only need to be remembered. Not by others, by yourself. Remember the softness you buried, the innocence you silenced, the laughter you postponed. Remember what it felt like before the pain taught you to armor your heart. That place still exists. It is not gone. It is not broken. It is simply waiting beneath the rubble of your resistance. And the resistance is not you. It's just fear dressed in logic. It's the voice that says, if I let go, I'll be weak. But letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. Anyone can carry pain. But to release it, to truly open your hands and say, no more, that requires a courage the world cannot measure. The world may not understand your healing. It may still ask you to explain. It may still define you by what happened. But your soul is not here to be understood by those still asleep. Your soul is here to awaken and to shine so brightly that others remember how to wake as well. You are not the emotion. You are the space it moves through. You are not the thought. You are the stillness that watches. And suffering fades when you stop mistaking the weather for the sky. This breath right now is a chance to come home, not to the old identity, but to the open field of awareness where nothing needs to be solved and everything is already whole. How long will you delay your peace, waiting for the past to apologize? How long will you postpone joy, hoping someone else will finally see your pain and make it right? The truth is, they may never understand. They may never say the words you long to hear. But your healing does not depend on their awakening. It depends on yours. You can choose to forgive without permission. You can choose to let go without closure. You can choose to stop suffering even if the world continues spinning in ignorance. Because you are not here to win a courtroom battle. You are here to live, to be free, to love without condition, to release the anchors and fly. And yes, part of you will resist this. Part of you has grown so familiar with the story that it feels like a second skin. But you are not here to live a life of repetition. You are here for transformation. You were not created to carry pain forever. You were created to awaken through it, to become a vessel for compassion, to become a lighthouse for others still caught in the storm. There is no nobility in suffering. The soul does not evolve through punishment. It evolves through presence, through surrender. Through the decision, again and again, to choose love over fear, even when the fear seems justified. You will feel the temptation to revisit the pain. The mind will want to dissect it, to solve it, to find meaning in the chaos. But meaning is not found in the mind. Meaning is what the soul creates when the mind becomes silent. Can you sit in silence? Not in avoidance, but in reverence? Can you feel what you've been avoiding? Can you let it rise? Not to attach to it, but to finally witness it without judgment? That is where healing begins. Not in fixing, but in seeing clearly. Not in resisting, but in allowing. Not in blaming, but in blessing. Bless it all. Not because it was right, but because it brought you here. Because it cracked the shell around your heart and allowed the light to pour in. Because it reminded you that even in the darkest hour, something in you remained unshaken. That something is your eternal self. The part of you untouched by pain. The part of you that has watched lifetimes come and go. The part of you that is pure awareness, infinite, formless, serene. And when you live from that space, the suffering has no foothold. It cannot anchor into stillness. It cannot grasp what is not grasping. It cannot survive in the presence of truth. The truth is this: you are free right now. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to wait. The gate is open. You simply need to walk through. Let the memories be just that, memories. Let the pain be a teacher, not a tenant. Let the suffering dissolve in the silence that holds no resistance. This is not a destination. It is a return, a remembrance, a homecoming to the soul that never left you, even when you turned away. You are the light beneath the wound. You are the peace beneath the thought. You are the presence beneath the noise. And the moment you stop looking for healing and become the space in which healing happens, everything changes. There comes a holy moment, quiet and unannounced, when you no longer seek to be rescued from your past because you realize you were never truly trapped by it. The door was always open. The chains were always imagined. And the only captor was your belief that you had to keep suffering in order to honor what you had been through. But you don't honor pain by holding it. You honor pain by freeing yourself from it. You don't need to suffer to prove you've been hurt. You don't need to wear the memory as armor. You don't need to explain to anyone why you are ready to be free. It is enough that your soul is ready. Let this be the moment you stop rehearsing the story. Let this be the breath that no longer carries resistance. Let this be the second you say, I forgive myself, I forgive them, I release the grip, I surrender the fight. And then just rest. Don't reach, don't strive, don't try to force a spiritual awakening out of the rubble. Just be still long enough to feel the light that never left. Rest in it. Float in it. Let it hold you. This is where transformation happens. Not by force, not by effort, but by resting in your true self. The part of you that does not need healing because it was never hurt. That is the great paradox of healing. You begin by thinking you are shattered. You work, you cry, you climb. And one day, through grace or surrender or silence, you realize there was nothing to fix, nothing to put back together. You were whole all along. You just forgot. You are not broken. You are not fragile. You are not your lowest day. You are not the echo of someone else's behavior. You are not the failure you feared. You are not the child who didn't know how to protect themselves. You are not the adult who carried shame like a shield. You are divine presence. You are eternal stillness. You are the sky that witnessed it all and remained unscathed. Can you feel it now? The breath flowing in and out without judgment, the heart beating without apology, the stillness beneath every thought, waiting like an open palm. This is grace. This is your nature. This is what suffering tried to cover but never could destroy. There is no enlightenment in punishment, no salvation in shame. There is only this: remembering, returning, releasing. And you can do that now. Not later, not when the world is safer, or your mind is quieter, or they finally say they're sorry. You can return now because the path home was never outside you. The pain happened, yes. And some of it cut deep. Some of it left you breathless. Some of it made you doubt the goodness of the world. But look at you now. Look how much you still care. How much you still long to grow. How much light still leaks through the cracks you thought would consume you. That light is your proof. Proof that the soul cannot be extinguished. Proof that your essence is stronger than your story. Proof that even when the mind screams in pain, the spirit whispers peace. You do not need to become someone new. You only need to become who you were before the world convinced you to suffer. Let go of the label, let go of the guilt, let go of the need to carry every hurt as if it were sacred. The sacredness is not in the wound. The sacredness is in your becoming. Yes, you've known darkness. Yes, you've tasted bitterness. But bitterness is not your home. Grief is not your identity. The soul cannot be defined by what it survives. If you need a mantra to carry forward, let it be this: I am no longer willing to suffer. I release the need to be at war with what was. I choose peace, not because it is easy, but because it is who I am. And repeat it. Not just with your voice, but with your breath, your posture, your presence. Say it when the memory resurfaces. Say it when the body tenses. Say it when the ego tries to seduce you back into its narrative. I am no longer willing to suffer. I choose peace. I choose peace. I choose peace. And each time you say it, something old falls away. Each time you say it, something sacred is remembered. Each time you say it, the past becomes lighter until one day it is no longer a weight but a whisper, a chapter, a part of the journey, not the definition of it. This is the gift of awareness. This is the gift of awakening. Not that pain disappears, but that suffering does. Not that you forget, but that you remember more deeply who you truly are. And who you are is not fragile. You are light, embodied. You are love, remembering. You are wholeness, reawakened. You are here, alive, awake, and ready to stop surviving and start living. Ready to stop circling and start soaring. Ready to stop suffering and start simply being. Because the pain happened, yes. But the suffering, that ends now. You are never small. You only learn to believe in smallness. Like a wave that forgot it is the ocean, you have been tossed and turned by circumstances, forgetting the infinite calm beneath your surface. But now is the time to remember. Not to become, not to strive, not to improve, but to remember, because the ocean has never left you. It lives in you. It is you. You are not a fragile droplet cast away from something greater. You are the ocean in a drop, a microcosm of the infinite, a divine echo of the all, not an orphan of spirit, but its embodiment. You were not created to be separate. You were created to be whole, to be the song of the universe sung through a single breath. The illusion of separation, this is the root of all suffering. You were never truly alone, but your mind, conditioned by fear, conditioned by judgment, by years of story after story, convinced you otherwise. And when you believe you're alone, you search for belonging. When you forget your love, you chase approval. When you believe you're broken, You keep seeking healing. But healing begins not in fixing what you think is wrong. Healing begins in remembering what has always been right. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the thoughts that whisper of inadequacy. You are not the labels, not the name, not the roles you've worn like costumes in the theater of time. You are the one who watches it all. You are the stillness behind the noise, the light that has never dimmed, even as you wandered through shadows. You are not lost. You are simply asleep to the truth of yourself. And awakening is not about adding more. It's about removing what is not you. The ego will try to convince you that you are just this drop, just this body, just this age, just this trauma. It thrives on identity, on being right, on being wounded, on being separate. But the soul knows no such limitation. The soul is spacious. It holds everything and clings to nothing. When you realize you are the ocean in a drop, you stop trying to prove your worth. You stop fighting to be seen. You stop clinging to stories of victimhood. Because the ocean does not resent the shore for its boundaries. It simply moves. It simply flows. The drop that surrenders to the ocean does not disappear. It expands. It becomes the storm, the tide, the still water reflecting the moon. All this time you've been trying to find peace by rearranging the waves. But true peace is found in diving deep below the noise into the silence of your own being. There. You don't have to try. You only have to listen. The ocean speaks in stillness. It doesn't shout. It waits. It waits for you to be still enough to feel it. You do not need to find the divine. You are the divine. You were never outside of God's embrace. How can the wave be outside the ocean that gives it form? You don't have to chase love. You are what love looks like in form. Every time you return to presence, every time you breathe consciously, every time you forgive yourself, you step deeper into your oceanic truth. Let go of the need to fix yourself. You are not a project. You are a presence. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a mystery to be lived. This is not philosophy. This is reality when seen through the lens of the soul. The mystics have known this. Rumi whispered, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." And yet, how quickly we forget. We forget when we compare. We forget when we judge. We forget when we believe our worth must be earned. But worth cannot be earned. It can only be realized. Like sunlight breaking through the fog, your divinity is not created by effort, it is revealed by surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is the courage to release what is false so the truth can rise without resistance. Surrender your story. Surrender your shame. Surrender the belief that you must suffer to be free. Surrender the idea that awakening is some future destination. It is here. Now, it is the breath you are taking. It is the silence beneath this voice. It is the awareness that is reading these words. You are the space, not the storm. You are the awareness, not the anxiety. You are the sky, not the clouds. Your true self cannot be threatened because it is not made of anything that can be destroyed. It is eternal, unchanging, and infinite, just like the ocean. And once you remember, even for a moment, your entire perception begins to shift. You stop living from fear. You start living from freedom. You stop reacting. You begin responding. You stop chasing what you already are. The ego will return like waves on the surface, but you'll no longer mistake the wave for the ocean. You'll witness your thoughts without becoming them. You'll feel your emotions without drowning in them. You'll face your past without being imprisoned by it. Because when you know you are the ocean in a drop, you no longer fight the waves. You ride them. You no longer fear the storm. You trust it. You no longer worship the shore. You become the horizon. And when others forget, when they flail and sink in their illusions of separateness, you will be the calm, not because you have all the answers, but because you remember who you are. This remembering, it's not just for you. It's for everyone you touch, every heart you meet, every room you enter, because your presence becomes a lighthouse, not by effort, but by essence. You become peace. You become permission for others to also stop pretending, to stop performing, to stop shrinking into roles they were never meant to carry. The wave is temporary. The ocean is eternal. The mind is changeable. The soul is unshakable. Everything the ego fears, losing the soul, already knows it cannot keep. Everything the soul embodies, the ego cannot understand. So stop trying to convince your ego to awaken. Instead, gently step beyond it. Like walking out of a dream, awaken into what you've always been. You are not the storm, you survived. You are not the pain that shaped you. You are not the identity they gave you. You are the vast, boundless, infinite presence that held it all. And if you sit still enough to feel beyond the surface, you will know this as your deepest truth. The ocean is not afraid of being misunderstood. It doesn't rush to explain itself. It doesn't fight the tide. It doesn't prove its worth. It simply is. And so are you. You are not here to fit in. You are here to remember, to reflect the entire cosmos through your being, to live as a reminder to the world that love does not have to be earned, that peace does not have to be found, that God is not elsewhere. The divine is the very breath that breathes you. It is the stillness behind your eyes. It is the awareness that listens when no one is speaking. It is the ocean in the drop, and the drop is you. When you stop chasing the wave, you begin to experience the ocean. And when you stop trying to be someone, you remember that you already are everything. Your soul is not waiting for improvement, it is waiting for your return. Not the return of your body, nor your thoughts, nor your achievements, but the return of your awareness to the eternal truth it has always carried. The truth that you were never disconnected, never lacking, never less than divine. You have not been abandoned by grace. You have only been distracted from it. Distracted by voices that told you you're not enough. Distracted by noise that claims success lives somewhere outside of you. Distracted by the wounds of yesterday, replayed over and over like a sad song on a loop. But you are not here to repeat your history. You are here to remember your eternity. The world told you to define yourself by what you've done, what you own, who you impress. But the soul does not care for these illusions. The soul does not speak in language. It speaks in stillness. It speaks in peace. It speaks when you no longer need to prove your value. It whispers, you are not here to become something. You are here to be what you already are. And what you are is light, not a flicker, but a fire that cannot be put out, not by rejection, not by failure, not by time. You are the light that shines through every mask you've worn. The light that never stopped glowing, even when you convinced yourself it had been extinguished. You are the light before your name, before your childhood, before your stories, and you are the light that will remain when all those things pass away. There is a beauty that arises when you no longer need the world to reflect your worth. You no longer ask others to validate what your soul has already declared. You no longer beg for love because you are the source of it. You no longer compete for visibility because you are no longer hiding. You no longer fear being alone because you have made peace with the eternal companion that has lived within you all along. Do not believe the voice that says you are too broken, too late, too flawed. Those are only echoes from minds that forgot their own wholeness. You do not need to be perfect to be pure. You do not need to be flawless to be divine. The ocean does not need to be calm to be sacred. It is sacred in the storm, just as you are. Sacred in your grief, sacred in your chaos, sacred in your uncertainty. There is no requirement to awaken. There is only a remembering. Remember that before the guilt, before the fear, before the labels, you were already enough. And in this very moment, with all your imperfections, all your questions, all your scars, you still are. Let go of the idea that spirituality is a destination. You are not climbing toward divinity. You are softening into it. You are not building a bridge to heaven. You are realizing that heaven was always within you, waiting for your attention. Not a place in the clouds, but a vibration in your chest, a knowing in your silence, a stillness in your presence. The ego asks, what's next? The soul asks, what is now? The ego demands results. The soul invites surrender. The ego fears death. The soul remembers eternity. And every moment you stop and breathe, every moment you pause long enough to feel beneath the story, you are tasting the ocean. You are touching your source. You are awakening, not through effort, but through release. Not through control, but through trust. Not through gaining, but through allowing. You are not here to carry the weight of the world. You are here to dissolve into the lightness of being. You are not here to make the world love you. You are here to embody the love that you are. You are not here to force your way forward. You are here to flow, to respond, to dance with the divine rhythm that has always been guiding you. Let go. Let go of the tight grip on your identity. Let go of the story that binds you to your past. Let go of the fear that you are somehow behind. Let go of the belief that your value is up for negotiation. You are the ocean in a drop, a holy spark of infinite intelligence, the living presence of God, wrapped in human experience. The great I am in motion, the formless essence dancing through form. And the more you allow this truth to take root, the less you resist what arises. You will stop fighting the moment and begin flowing with it. You will stop resenting the path and begin honoring it. You will stop asking life to be different and begin trusting that life is always offering you exactly what your awakening requires. The pain is not punishment. The delay is not denial. The loss is not abandonment. Everything is here to lead you home. And home is not a place. It is a state of remembering, a frequency where the ego dissolves and the soul expands, where you no longer need the applause because you have heard the inner voice that says you are already whole, where you no longer fear change because you know that nothing real can ever be lost, where you no longer strive to become spiritual because you realize you are spirit itself. This is not about adding more to your life. It is about returning to the essence of life within you. Stripping away everything that is not love, not peace, not presence, until what remains is the stillness that has never left, the presence that needs no permission, the awareness that knows itself as whole. You are not here to control life. You are here to commune with it, to bow to its wisdom, to lean into its grace, to trust that every step, even the ones you didn't plan, are bringing you closer to yourself. Nothing is wasted. No tear is meaningless. No detour is a mistake. Everything has been the unfolding of your return. Return to the breath, return to the silence, return to the truth that was never gone, only obscured by the noise of forgetting. Even now, as you sit here, something within you remembers, a flicker, a softness, a knowing. You remember that you are not separate from life. You are what life is doing. You are the wave and the ocean, the moment and the timeless, the form and the formless. You are the mystery you've been trying to solve. You are the love you've been trying to find. You are the God you've been taught lives elsewhere. And once you remember this, even just for a moment, the entire world begins to reflect it back to you. The trees no longer just sway, they speak. The wind no longer just moves, it blesses. The faces of strangers no longer feel foreign, they are you in different costumes. There is nothing left to fear. Not because nothing will ever go wrong, but because you now know you are more than what happens. You are the space it happens within. You are the ocean that holds the wave. You are the peace that contains the storm. And when you begin to live from this place, not as a theory, not as a concept, but as your lived reality, everything changes, though nothing needs to. You walk through life with open palms instead of clenched fists. You no longer demand certainty, for you have discovered the sanctuary of surrender. You are no longer addicted to outcomes because you have fallen in love with presence. You are no longer chasing completion because you've tasted the completeness within you. The ocean is not concerned with where it begins or ends. It simply exists, beyond measure, beyond mind, beyond form. And so too does your essence, your being, your true self, vast, borderless, unconcerned with comparison, untouched by judgment, undefeated by time. What you are cannot be improved. It can only be realized. And that realization does not arrive with noise and effort, it arrives in stillness. The paradox is this: the more you try to find yourself, the more you forget what you are. And the moment you stop trying, stop striving, stop reaching, and simply allow what is to be, there it is. There you are. In the silence, in the breath, in the gentle awareness that has been watching all along. It is not something you achieve. It is what remains when all achievement falls away. You do not need to become holy. You already are. You do not need to earn peace. You already hold it. You do not need to seek God. You are made of God. Even the idea of finding your purpose is only relevant when you believe you are apart from your essence. When you remember your true nature, you realize that your being is the purpose. Your presence is the gift. Not what you do, not what you produce, not what you prove, but the radiance that flows from simply being aligned with who and what you truly are. And who are you? You are the echo of eternity. You are the song the universe has never stopped singing. You are the divine expressing itself through a body, through a life, through a set of ever-changing roles that could never contain the vastness of your spirit. You are not here to perform. You are here to remember. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to awaken from the illusion that you are broken. You are not here to win the game of life. You are here to transcend the game entirely. The soul doesn't keep score. It doesn't count mistakes. It only invites you again and again back into presence, into peace, into the sacred now, where the past is no longer your prison and the future is no longer your idol, where there is nothing missing and nothing to fear, where the drop remembers it has never been anything but ocean. And from that space, life begins to bloom again. You smile for no reason. You cry without shame. You speak with less urgency and more depth. You forgive without needing to justify. You listen without needing to respond. You rest without guilt. You walk without rushing. You breathe like every inhale is a prayer and every exhale is a letting go. This is not weakness. This is power. The power of alignment, the power of presence, the power of knowing what you are so deeply that the world can no longer convince you otherwise. Others may not understand. They may try to pull you back into the storm. They may say you've changed, and they'd be right. You've remembered. And in remembering, you've released the need to explain your peace to those still addicted to their struggle. You no longer need permission to be free. You simply are. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty. It is the absence of inner resistance. Peace is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of unwavering stillness beneath it. Love is not something you give or receive. It is what remains when all fear dissolves. You are not your circumstances. You are not your failures. You are not your age, your status, your body, your past. You are what notices all of those things, what holds them gently and releases them without attachment. The more you let go, the more you realize there is nothing to lose. The more you stop chasing, the more you feel yourself arriving. And you arrive not at some external destination, but in the sanctuary of your own soul, a soul that has always known, always waited, always loved. You are the ocean in a drop, a sacred convergence of all that ever was, all that is, and all that will be. You do not belong to the world. You belong to the infinite. And you are here now, not to become something, but to remember everything. And when you live from that remembrance, you no longer need to carry the past on your back like a burden that defines your worth. You begin to walk differently, lighter, freer, not because the world has changed, but because your awareness has. You see through new eyes. You listen through a new heart. And life, once filled with obstacles and adversaries, begins to feel like a sacred teacher unfolding before you with grace. You no longer judge what arises because you know it is passing. You no longer cling to what leaves because you trust in what remains. And what remains is not the job, not the relationship, not the title, not the opinion. What remains is the ocean. The deep, endless, loving intelligence of your own being. Untouched by circumstance, untouched by comparison, untouched by time. You are no longer the one who reacts to the world. You become the one who reflects its truth. You are no longer the one who grasps for safety. You are the one who remembers that true safety lies in your willingness to let go. You are no longer the one who fights for love. You are the one who realizes that love is the foundation of your existence. There is no race. There is no delay. There is no finish line. There is only the eternal invitation to come home to the place within you that has never been wounded, to the presence that holds all your tears and transforms them into wisdom, to the stillness that doesn't just silence the noise but renders it irrelevant. You stop trying to find your identity in things that can be taken. You stop anchoring your joy to things that are temporary. You stop measuring your value with a ruler made by the world. Instead, you rest in what is eternal. You lean back into what cannot be measured. The ocean in you does not rush. It does not panic. It knows its tide will return. Even in your darkest night, that ocean was there, silent, patient, unmoving, waiting for you to remember. Even in your deepest grief, it held you whispering through the silence. This, too, shall pass. Even in your loneliest hour, it never left, because you are not the one who was forgotten. You are the one who forgot. And to remember is not to punish yourself for forgetting. It is to celebrate the return. It is to bow to the journey. It is to meet yourself again with new eyes and say, ah, there you are. I see you now. This is not spiritual poetry. This is the deepest reality there is. Deeper than name, deeper than role, deeper than belief. Beneath all the layers, beyond all the striving, there is only presence. And in that presence, there is nothing to fix, nothing to fear, nothing to earn. You have already arrived. You arrived the moment you stopped trying to arrive. You awakened the moment you stopped trying to be spiritual. You became whole the moment you stopped pretending to be broken. You remembered the moment you gave yourself permission to forget. Everything is grace. Even the forgetting, even the struggle, even the pain that made you kneel. For it brought you here to the moment you finally stopped running. To the moment you laid down your armor and said, I don't need to be more. I only need to be. And being is enough. Being is the sacred miracle. Being is the original blessing. Being is the space through which all truth flows. You don't need to fill it. You only need to feel it. There is no greater power than one who knows who they are. Not as a concept, not as an affirmation, but as an unshakable knowing rooted deep in the soul. And who you are is not a separate self struggling for peace. You are peace remembering itself through a temporary self. The mind may scream in confusion. Let it The body may ache with memory. Love it. The world may demand answers. Smile. You don't need to know how. You don't need to explain why. You only need to keep coming back to what has never left. The stillness beneath the noise. The watcher behind the thought. The vastness behind the name. The ocean behind the wave. You are the ocean in a drop. And that drop, once surrendered, becomes all that ever was and ever will be. And when it all falls away, when the striving exhausts itself, when the stories unravel, when even the idea of awakening dissolves into the simple miracle of breath, you will find yourself where you have always been. Not at the end of a long journey, but at the beginning of reality. And reality is not found in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of your soul. It has been here all along, like a silent mountain beneath the passing clouds, unmoved, unbroken, waiting only for your eyes to see it again. This is the sacred return. Not the return to who the world told you to be, but to the formless, radiant, unshakable awareness that has always been the core of your being. And you don't have to try to get there. You only need to stop pretending you're somewhere else. The light you seek is not in the distance. It is in your breath. It is in the silence between your thoughts. It is in the space behind your eyes. It is the essence of your I am. There is nothing more liberating than this, to be what you already are. Not more, not different. Just fully, fearlessly, beautifully, divinely you. Not the you created by the world, but the you breathed into existence by eternity. The you that doesn't need a reason to exist. The you that doesn't need validation to be real. The you that is not afraid to let go because it knows nothing true can ever be lost. You are not your roles. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are not your trauma. Not your achievements, not even your name. You are what remains when all of it is gone. You are the space in which all things arise and pass. You are the ocean in a drop. And when you remember this, you no longer fear death. Because death can only touch the wave, it cannot touch the ocean. You no longer fear judgment, because judgment cannot reach the infinite. You no longer fear failure, because failure cannot touch the truth of what you are. You no longer fear being alone, because you are never apart from Source. Even in your solitude, you are held. Even in your silence, you are seen. Even in your sorrow, you are safe. Because what you are cannot be harmed. What you are is beyond harm, beyond lack, beyond limitation. So now, breathe. Breathe not to survive, but to remember. Breathe not to escape, but to arrive. Breathe not to chase the next moment, but to fall into this one completely. This moment, unadorned, untouched, whole in itself, is where your freedom lives. And as you inhale, feel the ocean swelling inside you, not rising in panic, but rising in peace. Feel the divine expanding, beyond your skin, beyond your stories, beyond your self-image. There is nothing separating you from infinity now. This is not imagination. This is not illusion. This is the original truth, before the shame, before the confusion, before the ego. This is the birthplace of your being. This is home, and you have never left. You simply wandered into a dream of separation, and now with soft awareness and open hands, you wake up. You wake up to your light. You wake up to your power. You wake up to the vast, silent love that has always called you by your real name. You are not here to accumulate, you are here to emanate, to radiate what cannot be contained in words, only felt in presence. You are the embodiment of the eternal formless spirit moving through form, God remembering itself through you. The old stories can fall away now. The old fears can dissolve. You don't need to rehearse the pain. You don't need to carry the weight. The wave no longer resists the shore. The drop no longer fears the merging. The self no longer hides from the self. You are what the mystics tried to name, what the poets tried to sing, what the saints tried to live. You are the one the ocean has always whispered about in its tides. You are the one the stars have always gazed upon with silent recognition. You are here. Now, awake, free, whole. You are the ocean in a drop, and the drop is returning. Not returning to a place, but returning to awareness, returning to love, returning to the infinite vastness you have always been. And in this return, nothing needs to be said. There is only breath. There is only stillness. There is only a peace so deep it silences every storm. Let the final thought dissolve. Let the final image fade. Let the self fall into the self and feel what has no beginning and no end. You are home. You are light. You are the wave. You are the deep. You are the ocean in a drop. And you always were.